Coming up in this video, everything you need to know to play solos like this. Let me start by asking, do you really want to get better at guitar, better at solos, better at improvising? Well, what I'm about to show you are 9 absolutely essential concepts that I believe every guitar player needs to understand. These are the fundamentals, lead guitar 101 if you like, and without them you'll remain stuck, confused and probably not too hot at guitar. But crack these concepts and you'll be so much closer to your goals. This was originally going to be a list of 10, with number 10 being the CAGED system, but I decided that really needs its own video. So you can view this as a list of things you need to know before you even start worrying about CAGED. So let's start with the basics, and the way this will work is I'll show 2 or 3 concepts and then play a solo so you can see them in action. Number 1, and let's start right at the beginning with the pentatonic scale. Now I know most of you are going to know this already, but just to recap, in A minor in the first position, it's going to look like this. So starting at the 5th fret on the low E here, this note A is our root note, and then it's going to be up to fret 8, and then frets 5 and 7 on the A string, 5 and 7 on the D string, 5 and 7 on the G string, and then 5 and 8 on the B string, 5 and 8 on the high E. So all together. Now, a lot of people can think of this scale as being a bit beginnery, but there's so much more to it than you first realise, and really it's still the main scale behind most blues and rock soloing. On to number 2, and let me immediately challenge how you think about this pentatonic scale, because this isn't just the A minor pentatonic, it's also the C major pentatonic. Now, a lot of people don't understand this, but for every minor scale, there's also a major scale with exactly the same notes in it, and that means you can use this exact same pattern over both minor and major chord progressions. But how do we know which minor and major keys have the same notes in them? Well, it's as simple as this. With our pentatonic shape, the first note here on the low E tells us which minor key we can use this position over. So in this case we've got an A. If I play an A minor chord in this position, you can hear the scale fits perfectly with it. But then the second note of our pentatonic shape, up 3 frets, here at the 8th fret, tells us which major key we can use this scale over. So in this case this is a C. If I play a C major chord here, in that position, and then start the scale from that same note, you can hear that also fits perfectly with C major. So A minor and C major share the same notes, and we can use that exact same pentatonic pattern over both keys. I can give licks a darker minor feel by resolving back to the minor root note of A. See, by landing on this A here, this lick fits nicely with A minor, but then if I want that brighter major feel, I can simply resolve my licks back to the major root note of C. Landing on a C there fits nicely with C major. So just remember, whenever you're playing this pentatonic, you've got both major and minor keys right there. On to number 3, and we're almost ready to play a solo, but before we do, let's just talk about string bending. And a great place to start here is just using the last note on the top 3 strings in our pentatonic shape. So 7th fret on the G string, 8th fret on the B string, and 8th fret on the high E. Now what you heard me playing there was what we call a full bend, which is equivalent to 2 frets higher. So if I take this note at the 7th fret of the G string that we're going to bend, what I want to do is come up 2 frets to the 9th, play that note and try and memorise that pitch and then bend up to it. Like that, so I can bend up and then back down again. And then same again on the B string, this time we're at the 8th fret, so the note we're going for, 2 frets higher. There we go, and same on the high E. And I can play little licks like this. Find some little licks like that you can practice with. Now I'll play a simple solo, and look out for how I mix minor and major licks to fit the chords and make use of those bends. Next, let's see how you can level up this basic pentatonic with some more sophisticated ideas. So number 4 on our list is turning our 5-note pentatonic into the full 7-note minor or major scale. And this is actually really easy to do just by adding in a couple of notes which are right under our fingers. In the case of A minor pentatonic, the 2 missing notes we need to make up the full A minor scale are a B and an F. And of course this is exactly the same for its relative major scale, C major. So let's just zone in on the top 2 strings of our pentatonic shape where we've got 5 and 8 on the B string and 5 and 8 on the high E. Then we can firstly find this B at fret 7 on the high E. So then we can add that in. So now we've got 5, 7 and 8 on that string. Now one way I really like to use this added note is play a little half bend up to hit the pitch of the note, the C at the 8th fret, and then come back down. And then I can pull off to the A. Even just that little lick there gives us something extra, something beyond the pentatonic. The other thing this note's really useful for is some kind of faster pull-off stuff. That kind of thing. Then onto the B string, and we can find an F here at the 6th fret. So now we've got 5, 6 and 8 on that string. Now, good ways to play this. It's really great as a little hammer-on pull-off from the note below, that kind of thing. Also, I like to play this note at the 5th fret and then bend up a half step to hit the F. That's a pretty cool sound as well. Number 5, and another great way to add sophistication to your playing, is with double stops. Now by double stops, we simply mean playing 2 notes at once. And a great place to get started with this is take the pentatonic shape, just focusing on the upper strings here, and play the last 2 notes on the top 2 strings. So I'm at fret 8 on the B and high E strings, play those together, and do that with a little bar, and then slide up 2 frets and back down again. Creates a really nice bright 4th sound. And this is way more sophisticated than just playing single notes. Then we can do exactly the same on the G and B strings, but this time of course our note on the G string is 1 fret back at the 7th fret, so we can't use the bar, but play those 2 notes together, the 7th and 8th frets, up 2 frets and back down again. So we've got these 2 pairs of sliding double stops. Then when we combine those together, you can get lots of little interesting things from them. Then number 6 is another form of double stops known as string-on-string bends. So this is where we're playing 2 notes together and bending one of them. So again, focusing on these notes at the 8th fret on the B and high E strings, play them together, but then bend up the note on the B string a full bend. And this creates a really cool kind of sound, classic in country, but also in rock and blues and all sorts of styles. So either we can play them together like that, or play them individually. Play the bend and then play the high string, or play the high string and then play the bend like that. Play them together. Same again then on the G and B strings. This time again we're coming back to the 7th fret on the G string, which is where our bend's going to be. Just like that. So let's see another solo and hear how these concepts really elevate this basic pentatonic to another level. Moving on, and of course every guitar player needs to understand blues. Number 7, and let's look at the blues scale. Now what a lot of people don't seem to realise is the blues scale is just the pentatonic with 1 extra note added, known as the blue note. And no matter what style you're playing, not just blues, it's common to add this blue note to your pentatonic for extra flavour. So back to our pentatonic shape, and there's a couple of places in and around this that we can easily add in the blue note. Now the blue note is a flat 5, in the case of A minor that's an E flat, and we can find one here 8th fret on the G string. Now this note's just slightly outside of our pentatonic shape, but we can easily slide over to it like this. Now, as soon as I hit on that note, you really start to hear the blues flavour coming through. Now, I don't like to linger on this note too much, particularly if I'm not playing hardcore blues, so a little flick off it to the note below adds in some more subtle blues flavour, or a little half note bend from the 7th fret up to it to hit that note of the 8th fret is another subtle way to get to it. Another place we can find our E flat blue note is here, 6th fret on the A string. So now we've got frets 5, 6 and 7 on that string, and adding in this note is great for some kind of lower down blues licks, that kind of thing. Number 8, and let's take the blues up a level with minor over major. So we've already talked about how A minor and C major have exactly the same notes in their scales. So if we had a blues progression in the key of C major, we could quite happily use that blues scale we just looked at, and it would work perfectly as the C major blues scale. But when we have a blues progression in a major key, there's something else we can do which takes things up a notch, which is use the minor scale which relates to that major chord. So C major, I could play C minor blues scale over the top of it. Now listen to this. You see how adding that minor scale over the major chord really brings out a whole nother level of blues. When you're using this minor over major approach, a couple of really common things to do. Firstly, the first 2 notes on the top 2 strings, either let them ring out together like that or just play them as a bar at the same time, often with the bend on the G string we looked at earlier, gives you that rock and roll vibe. And then this note here on the G string, the first note on the G string, when you play that one, you often want to give it a little microtonal bend up. So we're not aiming for another note, just pushing it slightly sharp. And that's because this is like an E flat from a C minor chord, but we're playing over a C major chord, so it just makes that note a little bit more palatable to the ear. So let me play another solo, and I'll start in the A minor position at the 5th fret, but then move up to the C minor position to add an extra blues kick at the end. So far we've stuck to one position, but now let's see how we can start soloing across the neck. Number 9, and let's look at how we can break out of our pentatonic shape and start moving licks across the neck. So I'm going to show you a 5-note pentatonic shape which has all the notes you need, but can be used kind of anywhere on the guitar. So let's start with 5 and 7 on the D string, and then 5 and 7 on the G string. Now these 4 notes were already part of our original pentatonic shape, so we're still in the same key of A minor or C major. So that's 4 of the 5 notes we need. For the 5th note, all we need to do is slide up 2 frets on this G string up to the 9th fret. And that's our full 5-note pentatonic. The difference this time is we're not starting on the root, we're starting on G. And then we get our root note, our minor root note of A, and then major root note of C, and then D and E. So G, A, C, D, E. Now, if I move these notes anywhere else into other octaves on the guitar, for example, G, A, C, D, E, then I get the exact same pentatonic scale, but also I can move straight up into G, A, C, D, E. See how those link together? Low position, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, and then up again, G, A, C, D, E. Now you can see from this how we have a scale that moves diagonally across the guitar, so we're moving up the neck as well as up the strings at the same time, and this is what people are doing when you sing them playing all over, most of the time at least. Now, any lick that we play in one of those positions, we can easily move to one of the others. So I can play that in the middle, same up high, same down low. So this is a massively powerful concept. One last solo and see how I use a really simple lick as the basis, but move it round all three positions. So I hope that was useful, and you can see how nailing these 9 concepts opens up a whole world of soloing. Don't forget to check the link below for the PDF, but otherwise I'll see you in the next video.